What's up, everybody? It's your shy Buie, back again for another episode of Ballin' with Buie, where I cover the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. Today, I want to break down a couple NBA games that happened: Hawks versus the Mavs, and then the Bucks versus the Suns. So let's dive in. First game of the night was Hawks versus the Mavs. A little pregame stats for you. Hawks coming to the game 7th in the East at 11-12. Trae Young's averaging 26.7 points per game, 9.2 assists, which is third in the league. Second in the league is Luka Doncic. And also for the Hawks, they've had a lot of injuries. They haven't had a complete team for most of the year. Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter still out. Chris Dunn, they acquired him over the offseason. He hasn't played all year. He's still recovering from an injury. And then Rajon Rondo is battling an injury right now, so he didn't play against the Mavs either. So they had a lot of players out, a lot of key players out. But they've been battling. Hawks have been battling. Still 7th in the East without all these athletes out on the court with them. Dallas having a rough year so far. 13th in the West as it stands at 11-14. There was a little bit of conversation this week about the national anthem. Dallas hasn't played the national anthem at any of their home games so far this year. This was the first game that they actually played it. NBA commissioner said that he's going to require, based on the NBA rules and protocol, teams play the national anthem. So they played it. That's kind of the end of that. It wasn't really a controversy, just kind of conversation that happened during the week. Luka Doncic averaging 27.8 points per game, 5th best in the NBA. And like I said, 2nd in assists with 9.3 a game. He's also averaging 8.7 rebounds a game. And he leads the NBA in triple-doubles. Luka, he's a stud, what can I say? So is Trae. But Luka, he's way better than I think people actually expected him to be. And I think a lot of people don't give him the credit he deserves sometimes. But looking at their first meeting, Mavs pulled out the victory 122-116. Start the game, there were 6 lead changes in the first quarter. Back and forth to start the game. Luka had 9 in the first quarter, came out hot, but he also picked up 2 fouls. He didn't get into any foul trouble throughout the game, but he did pick up those 2 quick fouls in the first quarter. John Collins had 8 for the Hawks in the first quarter. He played a really good game tonight. Trae Young had 7. And the Mavs had a 1-point lead at the end of the first, 33-32. And start the second quarter, Trae Young started on the bench as they're playing the entirety of the first quarter. Mavs were up 39-35, about 8 minutes left. That's when Trae came in and Luka went out at that time. Atlanta ended up going on a 14-4 run. And Young he got hot late in the second quarter and ended up having 19 in the first half. But Luka had 17, and he picked up another foul in the third. But like I said, he was never in foul trouble, so that was about the end of that regarding the fouls. But he did have 17 in the first half. But Atlanta ended up building a pretty nice lead, 62-52 at halftime. Jumped to the third quarter. Young didn't score in the third quarter, but he did have 10 assists. He was a great facilitator during that time when he wasn't providing any points. He was still being the floor general that they needed him to be. Hawks held on to a lead with a strong quarter by John Collins. I mean, he had a great game. Haven't watched much Hawks basketball this year, but John Collins, he showed up tonight. Yeah, he ended up going 10 of 11 through 3. He had 26 points. Luka had 23 points through 3 quarters, but he was only 1 for 6 from the 3-point line at that point. Neither Luka or Trae had a field goal in the third quarter. Luka got his points from the free throw line. But anyways, Atlanta held on to the lead in the third quarter. They were up 90-81 at the end of it. Luka started the fourth quarter on the bench, but the Mavs, even without him, opened up the fourth on a 9-0 run. Luka came in with about 8 minutes left. The Hawks were up 196 at that 100-96 at that point. Trae ended up getting his 11th double-double of the year in this game. Tim Hardaway Jr., he came out firing and to start the fourth. That kind of led to their 9-0 run. And Tim Hardaway Jr. tied it at 101, about 6 minutes left in the game. And then they went up 107-106 with a couple threes with 5 minutes left. It was a quick change from the Hawks had all the momentum in the second quarter and third quarter, and then just like that, fourth quarter started and Mavs went on a roll. Trae and Luka still didn't have a field goal in the second half with about 2 minutes left in the entirety of the game. And Luka got one with about a minute and a half left, and then Trae didn't get one until about a minute left. At that point, it was 118-117. Mavs were up with 1 minute left, like I said. Hawks had the ball about 4.7 seconds left with a chance to win the game. Same score. They inbounded the ball. Trae set a pick. He went down. I don't think it was a foul, but He goes down, guy runs through the screen, and I don't think Gallinari was the first option. I don't think he was. I can't remember who was cutting to the basket. I think it might have been John Collins, possibly. I'm not sure. But someone was cutting to the rim, and he decided not to throw it there. I'm sure Trey was probably the second option, but he went down. So they ended up inbounding it to Gallinari, and he shoots a fadeaway shot that wasn't even close to going in. And Young was irate at the end of the game. As soon as the buzzer went off, Mavs ended up winning because Gallinari missed that shot. They ended up winning 118-117, but Trae Young was irate. He wanted a foul call. He started ripping into the sideline ref for a good 30-45 seconds, but then he hugged it out with Luka and walked off the court. Anyways, John Collins finished with 33. Young finished with 25 points, 15 assists. Luka had another triple-double, 28, 10, 10. But yeah, Mavs pull out the win. I think the Hawks are going to be a very good team once they get fully healthy. They're 7th in the East right now, which isn't ideal. But once they have their complete roster, I think they're going to be very dangerous and a team that you need to keep your eye on. Second game of the night, Bucks and Suns. Pre-game stats for you. Bucks are second in the East coming into the game at 16-8. Have number one offense in the NBA. And Giannis is averaging 27.3 points per game, but he's still struggling from the three-point line, only 29%. He's just not a threat from there. Defenses don't even guard him from the three-point line. They let him shoot, just like Ben Simmons. Just let him shoot. Suns are fourth in the West coming into the game at 14-9. Number 5 defense in the NBA also. Devin Booker averaging a little over 23 points per game. The Suns, they are having a big turnaround. They were not good last season, but they're turning things around in a hurry, I think. But to start the game, both teams came out hot, both shooting 60% from the field in the first 6 minutes. At that point, it was 22-18 Bucks. Giannis had 10 points, 5 rebounds in the first quarter, but he shot 0 for 3 from 3. Don't even know why he was shooting threes, but I guess since he thought I'm wide open, might as well shoot him. So he did, but he ended up going for 0 for 3 in the first quarter. DeAndre Ayton had a very solid game. He had 10 points in the first quarter. Booker started out real slow. He only had 4 points, but the key thing, I think, in the first quarter was it was a very clean first quarter by both teams. There was only one turnover in the first quarter. It was committed by the Suns. Other than that, very clean first half. There wasn't too many fouls either. There were 10 lead changes in the first quarter. First quarter ended up being 32 at the end of it. Go to the second quarter. Bucks built a bit of a lead. About 4 minutes left in the second quarter, 56-49. Suns could not keep the Bucks off the three-point line in the first half, and they're very good at defending the three-point line. I believe they're top 5 in holding opponents to a low field goal or three-point percentage, but they could not keep the Bucks off the three-point line. The Bucks ended up shooting 13 of 24 just in the first half. They made 13 threes, but Suns still fought hard. They did have 6 turnovers in the second, which did put them behind, and they only ended up forcing 2 from the Bucks. But DeAndre Ayton had 13 at halftime. Booker ended up having 14. Paul had 9 and 3 assists, but he didn't have any assists in the second quarter. Those 3 came in the first quarter. But for the Bucks, Brian Forbes was hot from 3 in the first half, 5 of 6 with 17 points. Giannis ended up having 17 points and 7 boards. Suns, like I said, they played fairly well, but those threes and the turnovers just kept them down. But they were only down 71-59 at half. I mean, you're only down 12 and you allow 13 threes. I think that's pretty good. I mean, you can't ask for much better. Only be down 12 when you allowed that many threes and you didn't take care of the ball, didn't handle your business in the second quarter. Let's jump to the third quarter. Suns got into the bonus with 9 minutes left. So just 3 minutes into the third quarter, Suns were already in the bonus. And Chris Paul, best free throw shooter in the NBA this year, his career high, shooting 97% from the line. But the Suns didn't take much advantage of it like I thought they would. They only shot 5 from 7 throughout the third quarter. But Giannis, he lived at the free throw line in the third quarter. That's where he got the majority of his points in the third quarter. He was 10 of 12 from the line just in that quarter, and he had 14 points. So, I mean, you can't do anything to stop the man when he drives, really, but foul him. And he usually doesn't shoot that well from the free throw line, but he was hitting them tonight. Like I said, shooting 10 of 12 just in the third quarter. Also in the third, Booker ended up having 11 in the quarter, and Paul ended up having 9 just in the quarter. Suns had great ball movement. The offense was really good in the third quarter. It was their best quarter the entirety of the game, I thought. Ball movement was really well. They only allowed 2 threes from the Bucks, so you allowed 13 in the first half and then transitioned to the third quarter. I think they made a lot of adjustments at halftime, and they only allowed 2 just in the third quarter. The Suns ended the quarter on an 11-2 run, end up grabbing that, or not grabbing that lead. They got close to grabbing that lead, 101-98. Bucks still had the lead, but then they opened up the fourth on a 9-0 run. Just in the first 2 minutes, hit 3 threes, and that combines for a 22 run overall, and that's when they grabbed the lead at that point. But DeAndre Ayton picked up his 5th foul early in the fourth, about 9 minutes left. He went to the bench. He sat for about 4 or 5 minutes, came back in. Fast forward to about the end of the game, 124-122, Suns got the lead, about a minute left. Bucks ball, Giannis drives, hammers it home, tie it up, and then go back the other way. Suns ball, Booker drives the lane, draws a foul, goes to the free throw line, hits the first one, grab a 1-point lead, misses the second one. Bucks call timeout, go back down the floor, down by 1, inbound the ball, and they try to throw the ball into the post where Giannis is, but Jay Crowder jumps a pass and steals it. Then we come back down the other way, Suns ball, shot clock still on. Devin Booker took the shot, and he missed it, kind of from the elbow range in that area. Misses the shot, and then Bucks get the rebound, call another timeout, and get to half court. And they had Giannis at about the half court line, and they just had him like creep up slowly after there's a little bit of motion. He takes a pass at the top of the key, and then just drives, takes 1-2 dribbles, pulls up, and then ends up missing the shot. So the Suns come from behind. They looked like they might have been out of it after the Bucks were hot from their 3-point line and ended up getting the 1-point win, 125-124. Middleton finished with 18 points and 11 assists. Giannis had a season high, 47 points, 17-21 from the free throw line. Also had 11 boards to go with that. Booker finished with 30 points. Paul had 28. And all 5 starters for the Suns ended up having at least 14 points. Now, if you missed either of these games, they were both really good games. They both came down to the wire, as I mentioned. But yeah, it was a good night of basketball, I thought, in the NBA. But just like always, subscribe, share. Catch you later. Deuces.